In this video, quickly, I want to show you how you can force a child component to get re-rendered in the parent component. Let me show it to you with an example, a practical example here I have. It's a SaaS product that I've been working on for a while now, but it's not important. I'll try to show you the parts that only are important here. So please just focus on the parts that are related to this topic. So here we have a parent component. This is a component, it's a really simple component with a text box here and a button. So whenever I enter some data here, for instance, a new row, and when I push the button over here, I expect that using a backend API, it just pushes the data to the backend and then to the database. And here I have a child component that based on the data I entered here, I expect that this gets updated with the new data. So whenever I click on this, I expect to see the new data here. But now we don't see the new data because I have to refresh the page to see it actually, and that's a problem here I have. The reason for this is that, let me show it to you in the code. So here I have the parent component and here is the button here I have. So whenever I push this button, or basically when I submit the form, it actually tries to push the data to the backend with this API over here, and then when it gets the response, it doesn't do anything. And so that way the child component doesn't know when to get re-rendered, and that's a problem. In this situation, one of the solutions is that actually you use effect hook, and then based on the state you have, for instance here we can have a state of responses or results, and then based on this state we can actually refresh the page or actually re-render the page. But the problem here we have is a bit more difficult, because here we have a child component over here, it's analysis list component, and it's a completely separate component, and fetching is happening inside the component itself. So even if we, based on the response, try to re-render the component, it only tries to re-render the parent component but not the child component. So in this video I want to show you two ways to actually force the child component to get re-rendered or remounted, basically to show the new data. So the very first solution here I have is that we need to create a state and then change the state whenever we have a new data, and then pass that state as a prop to the child component, and inside that child component, based on that state, we can actually tell the component to get re-rendered whenever the state gets changed. So here let's create a new state. So this is an important part. Let me zoom in a little bit to see. So here I have the API, basically I post the data, and then when I get the response here, after that, let me first create a new state using useState hook here. So because I'm in TypeScript, the type should be Boolean, and here I have trigger and set trigger function to update the trigger state here. So here we have a state called trigger, and then after we get the response from the API, here we just need to update the trigger. So we only need to update the trigger to be a different value. So whenever the previous value is false, we need to change it to true, and when it's true, we need to change it to false. So basically we toggle the previous state. That's all we need to do. And then one last thing we need to do in this parent component is pass this trigger as a prop to the child component over here. So I just need to say that trigger and trigger. That's all we need to do in the parent component. Now in the child component, we need to get the trigger state as a prop. Also, if you're using TypeScript, you need to add it to your interface. If you're not using TypeScript, doesn't matter, you don't have to do this. Now we have access to trigger over here. Here we get trigger, and we can show the trigger over here. If trigger is true, show me true. If it's false, show me false. Let's test it quickly. So new data, look at this trigger state over here. Let me refresh the page. So it's true, and whenever I try to enter a new data, it's going to be false. And if I try one more time, it's going to be true again. But nothing happens here, and the problem is that we didn't update part. So basically we want, whenever the state gets changed, we want to force the component to re-render. So we can do that with use effect hook. And the only thing we need to do, we already have use effect in place, and inside use effect we say that fetch the new list of data. So get analysis list, and it uses this API to get the new data. The point here is that in use effect you need to pass trigger state here or prop here, so that way use effect acts based on trigger. Whenever trigger gets changed, it tries to do everything here one more time. So now if I try to, let me refresh the page. So here we have 5 rows, basically new row here, and as soon as I push this button I should see the new row here. And you can see that without refreshing the page, now I get the new row. And let me try one more time, another row, and you can see that automatically I get the new data. Now the second way to do it, which is much more simpler than this, is using key prop or attribute basically. So let me get rid of trigger altogether. We don't need it for now. And okay, also from props. So from here, now here we need to define a key for the component. So we just need to pass a new key, and NextJS will do everything else itself. So you don't have to do anything else in the child component. That's all you need to do. So let me say key value, for instance. So now we need to create a new state with key value here. So I can just modify this or come up with a new state. Let me change it to key value and set key value. So it's going to be number and it starts from 0. And now we need to, after we get the response from the API, now we just need to update the state, key value state. And the only thing I want to do, I want to get the current state value and then increase it by 1. So it's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3. So every time when we update the data, we have a new value. So something's wrong here, not quite sure. Set key value. Let me check this. So it's number, set key value. Okay, this is the, there was a typo there. Let me fix it. Okay, now this is all what we need to do. So let me tell you one more time here. So we have a state called key value and with the initial value of 0, and then we use the update method after when we push the data to the database or whatever we want to do, and then we just update the value with a new value, and then we pass this value as a new key. So here we have key value as key prop or attribute for this component, and it's a built-in functionality in ReactJS or NextJS. So you don't have to do anything else, and that's all you need to do. Let's try this one. So here the last row we have is another row. Let me refresh one more time. Is another row. Let's test this. Test with key value. If I hit the button, you can see that immediately I get the new data here. So basically you can do this in either ways. Each one has its own pros and cons, but it depends on the situation. However, there could be another easier way to do this. So let me know if you know any other way to do this. But thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to my channel for upcoming videos related to this, and please leave me a comment if you have any idea for me or if you have a question. Thank you so much. Bye bye.